Popular brand of skin lotion is being recalled because of a potential bacterial contamination. The maker of Jergens Ultra Healing Moisturizer is voluntarily.
You grabbed it off the shelf because it was affordable, because it said moisturizing on the label, because your doctor mentioned the brand once, or your mother always had it in the bathroom, or the packaging looked clean and simple and trustworthy. You have been applying it to your skin every single day, sometimes twice, for years, and some of what is in that bottle should not be anywhere near your body. 10 drugstore moisturizer brands. 10 things the label never told you. A bacterial recall. Formaldehyde releasers. Cancer-linked contaminants. Natural claims that settled in court for millions of dollars. Dermatologist badges that have no legal meaning whatsoever. And at the end, 3 brands that actually passed the test. The worst one is, first, avoid brand 1. Jergens Ultra Healing Moisturizer. It is sitting in bathroom cabinets across the country right now. The orange bottle, the one that promises to heal. Jergens Ultra Healing has been a drugstore staple for decades. The name alone does the selling. Ultra Healing. It sounds medical. It sounds safe. It sounds like exactly what your dry, cracked skin needs. In March 2022, the FDA announced a voluntary recall of Jergens Ultra Healing Moisturizer after the manufacturer, Cow USA, detected Pluralobacter gergovia inside specific lots of the 3-ounce and 10-ounce bottles. That is a bacterium inside a product you rub into your skin, potentially through cuts, cracks, and abrasions. The very conditions that send you reaching for a healing lotion in the first place. For people with weakened immune systems, cancer patients, elderly users, anyone post-surgery, or managing a chronic illness, this bacterium can cause infections that are difficult to treat. Some strains are antibiotic resistant. Consumer reports submitted to the recall listed skin burns, permanent marks, and severe infections after extended use. Feels like healing. Reads like a contamination risk. Read the label on any Jergens Ultra Healing bottle you still own. Check the lot code. If it begins with a prefix ZU and was manufactured between October 1 and October 18 of 2021, you are holding a recalled product. For the woman who has been rubbing this into her hands and feet every night before bed because it was the affordable, reliable choice her family trusted for years, this is what you actually bought. A product the FDA pulled from shelves, recalled by the FDA, still in your bathroom. That is the Jergens Ultra Healing deal. The next brand settled a class action lawsuit for $6.75 million over 2 words on its label. 2 words you have probably believed your whole life. Avoid brand 2 Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion. The oat, the gentle green packaging, the word natural printed front and center. Aveeno has built an entire identity around the idea that what is inside is as wholesome as what is on the outside. Johnson & Johnson acquired Aveeno in 1999. The Active Naturals branding followed. The promise was simple. These products are natural. They come from nature. They are different from the synthetic drugstore options next to them on the shelf. In 2013, a class action lawsuit was filed, alleging Johnson & Johnson falsely marketed its Aveeno Active Naturals line as natural when the products contained synthetic ingredients, including glycerin, sodium hydroxide, and cetyl alcohol. Johnson & Johnson settled for $6.75 million. As part of the settlement, the company agreed to remove the Active Naturals label from its products. A separate lawsuit alleged that Aveeno baby wash products labeled as natural oat formula contained 1.4-dioxane, a chemical that can cause cancer in humans, on a product parents were washing their newborns with. Looks like a meadow. Reads like a settlement agreement. Check your Aveeno bottle right now. Look for the word fragrance or perfume on the ingredients list of a product you use as a daily leave-on lotion. That single word is a legal loophole. It can represent dozens of undisclosed synthetic chemicals that never appear on the label you trusted. For the mother who chose Aveeno specifically because it felt natural, gentle, and safe enough for her children, this is what you actually bought. A brand that paid $6.75 million to settle a lawsuit about the exact claim that made you choose it. Subscribe right now. Because brand 3 on this list has a Dermatologist badge on the front and parabens in the formula. Avoid brand 3, Cetaphil Moisturizing Cream. It has a Dermatologist recommended badge on the front. It is in the skincare aisle, at every pharmacy, every supermarket, every big box store. Dermatologists hand out sample sachets of it at appointments. It feels like the responsible, Clinical choice. That badge is doing a lot of work. Because when you look at what is actually in the formula, the clinical positioning starts to fall apart. Independent analysis of 70 Cetaphil products found parabens, sodium lauryl sulfate, propylene glycol, and PEG compounds across the range. Parabens are synthetic preservatives linked to endocrine disruption and flagged in breast cancer research. SLS is a surfactant so harsh that dermatologists warn against it for sensitive skin. PEG compounds can be contaminated during manufacturing, with 1.4 dioxane and ethylene oxide. Both are classified as possible carcinogens. The brand says it is reformulating, but reviewers who checked the current product line found parabens and sulfates still present across multiple products. The promise of cleaner ingredients and the reality of the ingredient list are not the same thing. Cetaphil is owned by Galderma, which was previously a joint venture between L'Oreal and Nestle before being sold to an investor consortium in 2019. The dermatologist recommendation culture around this brand was built long before the ownership changed and long before anyone was looking closely at the ingredient deck. For the woman with sensitive skin who chose this specifically because her dermatologist recommended it and it felt medically safer than anything else on the shelf, this is what you actually bought. A brand whose own website claims it is reformulating, while the products it still sells contain the ingredients it says it is. Removing. Dermatologist recommended. Parabens in the formula. That is the Cetaphil deal. The next brand has been in family bathrooms since 1911, and it has been putting mineral oil and synthetic fragrance on your skin the whole time. Avoid brand 4, Nivea body lotion. The blue tin, the white lid, the smell that takes you straight back to childhood. If there is one moisturizer brand that feels completely safe, completely familiar, completely beyond question, it is Nivea. Nivea has been on shelves since 1911. That is over 100 years of trust. Your grandmother used it, your mother used it, you probably used it before you had any opinion about skincare at all. That kind of history feels like proof of something. It is not proof of safety. It is proof of longevity. The Nivea essentially enriched body lotion formula lists mineral oil as its second ingredient, right after water. Mineral oil is a petroleum-derived occlusive. It sits on top of the skin and locks in moisture by creating a barrier. What it also does is lock in everything else underneath it, including whatever other ingredients are in the formula, including fragrance, which appears further down the same ingredient list. EWG Skin Deep flags the Nivea, essentially enriched body lotion for fragrance and petroleum-derived ingredients, as ingredients of concern. Cosmetic-grade mineral oil and petrolatum can be contaminated with polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are classified as possible carcinogens. The EU restricts petrolatum in cosmetics. Unless the full refining history is verified and documented as safe, the United States has no equivalent requirement. For the woman who has been using this since she was a child because it was what the household always had and nobody ever questioned it, this is what you actually bought. A formula built around petroleum and fragrance, both of which raise documented safety concerns. Inside a tin that trades on 100 years of habit. Subscribe right now. Because brand 5 has hyaluronic acid on the front and a high allergy and immunotoxicity score on EWG Skin Deep, avoid brand 5. Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel. The packaging is sleek. The marketing is clinical. Hyaluronic acid. Water gel. Hydration that goes deep. Neutrogena Hydro Boost is the moisturizer that ingredient-aware women reach for when they want something that feels researched and modern. And for years, that positioning has worked. Because hyaluronic acid is real. It does hydrate. But hyaluronic acid is not the whole formula. And the rest of the formula is where the problems live. EWG Skin Deep rates the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel as moderate concern for cancer and high concern for allergies and immunotoxicity. That is not a clean bill of health. That is a warning on a product. Millions of women apply to their faces every single morning. The product contains fragrance on a face moisturizer, applied daily to skin that is already dehydrated, compromised, or sensitive. Fragrance is the loophole that lets brands hide dozens of undisclosed synthetic chemicals behind a single word on the label. It is present here, in a product marketed to women who think they are being ingredient smart. It also contains chlorphenesin, a preservative that EWG flags as a moderate allergen, and phenoxyethanol, which has raised concerns around sensitivity and toxicity at higher concentrations. Looks like skincare science. Reads like a high allergy concern rating. For the woman who switched to Hydra Boost because she read about hyaluronic acid and felt like she was finally making an informed choice, this is what you actually bought. A product with a high immunotoxicity concern score and fragrance hiding behind the ingredient you came for. The hyaluronic acid is real. Everything around it is the problem. The next brand is from the same company that had the bacterial recall. Different product, same fragrance, loophole, and now with a self-tanning chemical reacting with your skin every single day. Avoid brand 6. Jergens Natural Glow Daily Moisturizer. It feels like a 2-in-1 win. Moisturizer and a hint of color. No sun damage, no fake-looking tan, just a gradual, natural-looking glow that builds with every application. Jergens Natural Glow sits in the moisturizer aisle, but does the work of a beauty product. Convenient, affordable. Here is what is actually happening when you apply it. The color in Jergens Natural Glow comes from DHA, dihydroxyacetone, a reactive chemical that works by binding to the amino acids in the dead skin cells on your surface layer and producing a brown color through a chemical reaction. You are not getting color from pigment. You are triggering a chemical reaction on your skin, every day, all over your body. DHA at the concentrations used in daily moisturizers is considered low risk by most regulatory bodies for healthy adults when used as directed, but it comes packaged here alongside fragrance. Undisclosed synthetic chemicals on a product designed for full-body daily application. The fragrance loophole is present throughout the Jergens range, and this product is no exception. This is also the same brand responsible for the bacterial recall on this list. Cow USA, the parent company, had 15 affected lots of Jergens Ultra Healing pulled from shelves over contamination. The quality control concern is not contained to one product line. Looks like a glow. Reads like a daily chemical reaction with undisclosed ingredients. For the woman who switched to this because it felt like the responsible, sun-safe way to stay bronzed year-round. This is what you actually bought. A reactive chemical combined with fragrance from a parent company with a bacterial contamination recall on its record. Natural Glow, synthetic chemistry. That is, the Jergens Natural Glow deal. The next brand has been a teenage bathroom staple for decades, and dermatologists have been warning about it just as long. Avoid brand Seve, St. Ives Apricot Scrub. You probably remember the first time you used it. The orange tube, the gritty texture, the way your skin felt tight and smooth straight after. For a whole generation of women, St. Ives Apricot Scrub was the introduction to skincare, the first product they ever bought themselves. It has been in the drugstore skincare aisle since 1980. That is a long time to feel like a trusted staple. Here is what dermatologists have been saying about it for just as long. The exfoliating particles in St. Ives Apricot Scrub are crushed walnut shell fragments. They are not smooth. They are jagged. Under a microscope, they look like broken glass. When you scrub them across your face, they create micro tears in the skin surface. Those micro tears are invisible to the naked eye, but they disrupt the skin barrier, cause chronic low-grade inflammation, and over time, accelerate the very skin damage you are trying to reverse. A class action lawsuit was filed alleging the product is unfit to be sold as a facial scrub and physically damages skin. The lawsuit was dismissed on procedural grounds. The dermatologist consensus was not dismissed. Board. Certified dermatologists have consistently recommended against crushed walnut shell and apricot pit exfoliants on facial skin for decades. The product also contains fragrance and cocamidopropylbutane, a surfactant linked to contact dermatitis and sensitive skin types. For the teenage girl who was handed this by her mother because it was what the family always used, and who has been scrubbing her face with it ever since, this is what you actually bought. A product with jagged particles and a dismissed lawsuit that did nothing to change the formula. Drugstore staple. Micro tears on your face. That is the St. Ives deal. The next brand feels like the safest, most basic option on this list. It is in every pharmacy. It costs almost nothing. And the contamination concern hiding inside it is one most women have never heard of. Avoid brand 8, Vaseline Intensive Care. It does not get more basic than this. Vaseline Intensive Care is the moisturizer you reach for when you want the non-nonsense option. No fancy ingredients, no marketing language, just something that works. It has been on shelves since 1870. That is not a typo, and that history is exactly what makes this one sting. Petrolatum is the primary active ingredient in Vaseline Intensive Care. In its pharmaceutical-grade, fully refined form, petrolatum is considered safe. It is an excellent occlusive. It seals moisture in. Dermatologists use it in wound care. The problem is cosmetic-grade petrolatum, the grade used in drugstore moisturizers. The refining process for petrolatum removes most contaminants. But if that process is incomplete, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, can remain in the finished product. PAHs are classified as possible carcinogens. The European Union restricts petrolatum in cosmetics unless the manufacturer can document the full refining history and prove the product is safe for human use. The United States has no equivalent requirement, no documentation needed, no proof required. The petrolatum goes in the bottle, and the bottle goes on the shelf. You have no way of knowing which grade of petrolatum is in your Vaseline, because the label does not tell you. Because it does not have to. Looks like simplicity. Reads like an undocumented refining history. For the woman who chose this, because it felt like the most honest, no-nonsense option in the entire aisle, this is what you actually bought. A product built around an ingredient that the EU restricts and the US does not, with no transparency about the refining process that determines whether it is safe. Basic price. Unverified petrolatum. That is, the Vaseline Intensive Care deal. The next brand has 3 words on the label that sound like a safety promise. Sensitive, daily, moisture. None of them are regulated. None of them mean what you think they mean. Avoid brand 9, Lubriderm Daily Moisture Lotion. It does not try to be exciting. That is the whole point. Lubriderm Daily Moisture Lotion is the quietly dependable option. No bold claims, no celebrity endorsements. Just a pale blue bottle that has been sitting in the dry skin aisle for as long as most people can remember. That quiet dependability is the trap. Lubriderm is owned by Johnson & Johnson, which means this is the 3rd Johnson & Johnson brand on this list. Aveeno, Neutrogena, now Lubriderm. 3 different price points, 3 different brand personalities, 3 different labels that all lead back to the same parent company and the same formulation decisions. Lubriderm Daily Moisture Lotion contains fragrance. On a leave-on daily body lotion, marketed specifically for sensitive or dry skin, the word fragrance on a leave-on product label is a legal permission to hide dozens of undisclosed synthetic chemicals without listing a single one of them. On a product designed for people whose skin is already compromised, already reactive, already struggling. It also contains mineral oil and petrolatum derivatives, the same petroleum-based concerns present in other brands on this list. Combined with undisclosed fragrance on damaged or sensitive skin, you are layering 2 separate risk categories into one daily routine. 3 Johnson & Johnson brands. 3 fragrance loopholes. One parent company that keeps making the same formulation decision across its entire drugstore portfolio. For the woman who chose Lubriderm because it seemed like the quiet, sensible, no-fuss option that would not irritate her already sensitive skin, this is what you actually bought. Fragrance on sensitive skin. From a company that has put fragrance in every moisturizer it sells at this price point. Same parent company, same loophole, different bottle. That is the Lubriderm deal. The last brand on this list is the one that will hit hardest, because it is not just a formulation problem. It is a formaldehyde problem. In the most iconic drugstore moisturizer of all time, avoid brand 10 Jergens. Original scent moisturizer, the cherry almond scent, the pink and white bottle. If you close your eyes and smell it, you are probably somewhere specific. Your grandmother's bathroom, your childhood bedroom. A memory so strong, it feels like proof that this product is safe. That scent is the whole problem. This is the 3rd Jergens product on this list, and it is the worst one. The Contact Dermatitis Institute lists Jergens Original Scent Moisturizer as containing DMDM hydantoin. That is a formaldehyde-releasing preservative. It works by slowly breaking down inside the product and releasing small amounts of formaldehyde over time to prevent microbial growth. Formaldehyde has been designated a carcinogen by the United States National Toxicology Program, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and the International Agency for Research on Cancer. 3 separate, authoritative scientific bodies. Same conclusion, you are applying it to your skin, daily. In a product you have probably used for years without a second thought because the scent alone made it feel harmless. The scent is also a problem on its own. That signature cherry almond fragrance is undisclosed synthetic chemistry. The word fragrance on the label covers whatever produces that smell without revealing a single component of it. Formaldehyde releaser, undisclosed fragrance, a bacterial recall on a different product in the same range. Cow USA, Jergens' parent company, has 3 entries on this avoid list for 3 different reasons. That is not bad luck. That is a pattern. For the woman who has been using this since she was a teenager because the smell alone felt like comfort and safety, this is what you actually bought. A nostalgia-scented formaldehyde releaser that your government has never required anyone to disclose to you. Go check your bathroom shelf right now. 10 brands, 3 recalls, multiple lawsuits, formaldehyde releasers, petroleum contaminants, fragrance, loopholes on product, designed for sensitive, damaged, and vulnerable skin, and 1 parent company with 3 separate entries on this list. Here's the part that ties it all together. The FDA does not review cosmetic ingredients before they go on sale. It does not require pre-market safety testing for moisturizers. It does not mandate disclosure of manufacturing contaminants. It does not regulate what the word fragrance conceals. The European Union has banned or restricted over 2,500 cosmetic ingredients. The United States has banned 11. You were shopping inside that gap every time you reached for one of these bottles. The brands on the next part of this list made a different choice. No fragrance loopholes. No undisclosed chemistry. No petroleum derivatives with unverified refining histories. Clean ingredient decks that a third party has looked at and confirmed. These are the 3 that actually pass. Safe pick 1. Vanicream. Moisturizing cream, no fragrance, no dyes. No parabens, no formaldehyde releasers, no lanolin, no botanical extracts that trigger reactions in sensitive skin. Vanicream was developed specifically for patients with skin conditions who kept reacting to everything else their doctors recommended. It does not have an interesting story. It does not have elegant packaging. It does not have a celebrity endorsement or a French pharmacy heritage or a legendary origin. What it has is one of the cleanest ingredient decks in the drugstore moisturizer category and a formulation philosophy built around 1 question. What is the least we can put in this product while still making it work? The answer is water. Petrolatum in its purified, pharmaceutical-grade, cetearyl alcohol, sorbitol, propylene glycol, simethicone, methylcellulose, sodium lauryl sulfate in a rinse-free concentration so low it does not trigger the irritation concerns of its leave-on cousins, and a small number of stabilizing ingredients. That is the formula. Nothing hidden, nothing undisclosed. Named expert, board-certified dermatologists treating eczema, psoriasis, and rosacea consistently recommend Vanicream as the benchmark clean drugstore moisturizer. Dr. Arjun Dupes, a double-board certified dermatologist with the Apollo Dermatology Clinic, recommends fragrance-free, non-comedogenic formulas built around barrier repair. Vanicream meets every one of those criteria. For the woman who has spent years reacting to everything and still cannot find a moisturizer that does not make things worse, this is what clean actually looks like at a drugstore price point. No story, no loophole, just the formula. Carve out, Vanicream is not an active skincare product. It does not contain retinol, peptides, or niacinamide. If you need targeted anti-aging or brightening action, you will need to layer a separate serum underneath. Vanicream is the safe base, not the complete routine. No fragrance, no loopholes, no guessing. That is the Vanicream standard. The next safe pick adds clinical actives to the clean foundation. And it comes with genuine dermatologist backing, not just a badge safe. Pick 2. La Roche-Posay Toleriane Double Repair Face Moisturizer. Fragrance-free, paraben-free, ceramides, niacinamide, and glycerin in a clinically tested formula, built specifically for skin that reacts to everything else. La Roche-Posay sits at a slightly higher price point than a standard drugstore moisturizer, but it is widely available at pharmacies, Ulta, and Amazon, and it consistently lands under $25. That puts it firmly in the accessible category. And unlike most of the brands on the avoid list, what is on the front of this packaging matches what is in the formula. Named expert, Dr. Pure Hannah Kopelman, board-certified dermatologist at Kopelman Hair Restoration, and Dr. Arjun Dupes both recommend La Roche-Posay Toleriane formulations for patients with sensitive and reactive skin. The ceramide and niacinamide combination is specifically cited for barrier repair and inflammation reduction, 2 concerns directly caused by the harsh preservatives and fragrance compounds found across the avoid list above. Got about La Roche-Posay is not EWG verified. Some products in the wider range do contain ingredients that raise mild concerns. The Toleriane Double Repair Face Moisturizer specifically has a clean formulation. Check the label on any other La Roche-Posay product before assuming the whole range meets the same standard. Clinical actives, fragrance-free, independently endorsed. That is the La Roche-Posay Toleriane standard. The last safe pick is for the woman who wants all of the above and needs it to cost less than $10. Safe pick 3, Versed Dew Point Moisturizing Gel Cream, vegan, cruelty-free, full ingredient transparency, no undisclosed fragrance, available at Target. Under $10. Versed was built on the principle that clean formulation should not be a luxury. The Dew Point Moisturizing Gel Cream contains hyaluronic acid, aloe, and niacinamide in a lightweight, fragrance-free base. Everything on the label is everything in the product. No loopholes, no parfum, no petroleum derivatives. With undocumented refining histories, EWG Skin Deep rates Versed products consistently low for hazard across the range. That is independent verification, not brand marketing. Carve out. Versed Dew Point is a lighter gel formula. If you have very dry or compromised skin, layer it under a richer occlusive like Vana Cream, rather than using it alone. It is an excellent option for normal to combination skin and for warmer months when a heavy cream feels like too much. Clean label, drugstore price, independent verification. That is the Versed standard. 10 brands, 3 alternatives, 1 regulatory gap that made all of it possible. The FDA does not protect you here. The Dermatologist badge means nothing, legally. The word natural settled in court for millions and changed nothing about the formulas still on shelves today. The fragrance loophole is still open, the petrolatum refining history is still undisclosed. The formaldehyde releasers are still legal. You were never supposed to connect these dots, now you have. Read every label before you buy. Search the product on EWG Skin Deep before it touches your skin. Look for fragrance-free as the minimum standard on any leave-on product. Look for independent certification as the next level up. If the label says natural, ask what that word has ever been required to prove. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. The body wash version of this list is already in production. Same research, same framework, same questions. The industry does not want you asking. The system is not broken. It is working exactly the way it was built to work. Stay sharp, read those labels, keep rising.